Today, we're uncovering 4 Jefferson nickels that could be far more valuable than their 5-cent face value. We're talking about the 2006D, 2007P, 2008P, and 2009D Jefferson nickels, coins that can become highly desirable in exceptional condition, rare finishes, top mint state grades, and the right auction market. Welcome to ARY Coins News. Some outstanding examples have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars. So don't dismiss that old nickel in your collection. One tiny 5-cent coin could hold a big surprise. Stay with us as we reveal the 2026 values, remarkable auction records, rare conditions, and the collector's secrets behind these 4 Jefferson nickels, right here on ARY Coins News. Let's play with first coin. Today we're taking a close look at the 2006D Jefferson nickel, a coin that many people may still find in collections, old coin jars, pocket change, or inherited collections. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary modern nickel, but when collectors examine condition, strike quality, surface preservation, and especially the grade assigned by a professional grading company, the story can become very different. And that's exactly why you should never assume every 2006D nickel has the same value. In today's video, we'll examine what makes this coin interesting, what the D-Mint mark means, how condition changes its value, what recent market information tells us in 2026, and why a top-quality example can be dramatically more valuable than an ordinary circulated coin. The coin we're discussing is the 2006D Jefferson nickel, struck at the Denver Mint. The design belongs to the modern Jefferson nickel era and features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. The 2006 design is particularly interesting because the reverse presents the updated Monticello design used during this period. The small D-Mint mark identifies Denver as the mint where the coin was produced. But here's the first major lesson for collectors. A D-Mint mark by itself does not make this coin rare. Millions of modern nickels were produced, and most examples are common. The potential value comes from the combination of date, mint, condition, strike, surface quality, certification, and what collectors are willing to pay for a particular example. Now let's talk about condition, because this is where the biggest difference can appear. A 2006D Jefferson nickel that has spent years circulating can show scratches, contact marks, dull surfaces, discoloration, and wear on the highest parts of the design. Such a coin generally has little premium above face value unless it has another unusual characteristic. On the other hand, an example that has remained sharply struck and nearly untouched can enter the mint state category. That's where the collecting conversation becomes much more interesting. A coin graded MS60, MS63, MS65, MS66, or MS67 is not simply being described as good. The numerical grade is an assessment of its condition, and tiny differences in preservation can make a major difference to collectors. One of the most important points for anyone making a value video about this coin is that good, excellent, and mint state are not interchangeable terms. A coin can look beautiful to the naked eye but still receive a lower professional grade because of marks, weak strike characteristics, or surface imperfections. Likewise, 2 coins that appear almost identical in photographs can sell for very different amounts if one has a stronger certification, better eye appeal, or a higher grade. This is why it is dangerous to say that every 2006D Jefferson nickel is worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. The real market is much more selective. According to PCGS population information updated in 2026, certified 2006D examples exist across multiple mint state grades. The current PCGS population data shows examples at MS63 through MS68, with the population becoming much smaller toward the highest grades. In one June 2026 update, PCGS reported 175 examples in its MS category for the 2006D issue, including 69 at MS66, 69 at MS67, and 2 at MS68. Population reports can change as additional coins are submitted and graded, so these numbers should be treated as a snapshot rather than a permanent count. And now we reach the part that makes this coin especially interesting, the auction market. PCGS's auction price database lists 127 auction records for the 2006 D return to Monticello Jefferson Nickle in the MS category, with an auction record of $4,230. That figure is extremely important, but it must be understood correctly. It does not mean a normal 2006 D nickel is worth $4,230. It represents the top recorded auction result in that category. A spectacular auction result is evidence that exceptional coins can attract serious collector interest, not proof that every example has the same value. There is another reason collectors need to be careful when discussing prices. Online marketplaces can show dramatically different selling prices even for coins carrying similar grades. One current market database, for example, lists recent 2025 and 2026 sales of certified 2006 D nickels at amounts ranging from single digits to much higher figures depending on the certification, grade, and individual listing. Its calculated price guide also gives different estimated values across mint state grades. This illustrates a basic rule of the numismatic market. The grade number is important, but the exact coin and the exact sale still matter. So what should you look for if you have a 2006 D Jefferson nickel? Start with the mint mark. On the obverse, look for the D identifying Denver. Then inspect the coin under good lighting. Don't clean it. Cleaning can damage the original surface and may reduce collector appeal. Instead, look for the overall sharpness of the design, the condition of Jefferson's portrait, the fields around the portrait, and the Monticello reverse. Pay particular attention to scratches, contact marks, spots, discoloration, and areas where the surface may have been damaged. A coin that looks brilliant from a distance can reveal numerous marks under magnification. Next, turn your attention to the reverse. The Monticello design should be examined carefully for sharpness and surface preservation. Collectors often pay close attention to the steps and architectural details, although the overall grade is determined by the entire coin rather than one feature alone. If the coin has exceptionally clean surfaces and strong detail, it may deserve closer examination. But remember, photographs and casual inspection cannot reliably determine a professional grade. If you believe you have an unusually high-quality example, professional authentication and grading can provide a more meaningful assessment. This brings us to an important question: is every 2006 D nickel rare? The answer is no. The D mint mark does not automatically make the coin rare. And simply being in excellent condition does not guarantee a major price. What makes a coin potentially valuable is its combination of characteristics. A common circulated example may have little collector premium. A nicer uncirculated example may be worth more. A high-grade certified example can be substantially more interesting, and an exceptional top-grade coin with strong market demand can enter an entirely different price category. This is also why collectors say that every coin has its own story. Two nickels can share exactly the same year and mint mark, yet their histories may be completely different. One may have spent years circulating through thousands of transactions. Another may have been placed into a collection soon after leaving the mint. A third may have survived with extraordinary surfaces and eventually been submitted to a grading service. The coins look related, but their preservation histories are different. And in numismatics, that difference can matter enormously. Let's also clear up another common misunderstanding about the phrase, "sold only one time." If you're researching a high-value coin online, finding one very large sale does not mean that amount is the guaranteed current value of every coin. Auction records represent individual transactions. Market prices can move depending on collector demand, auction venue, certification, grade, eye appeal, and the exact condition of the coin. A single record sale is exciting, but a responsible valuation should look at multiple comparable sales whenever possible. For 2026, the safest way to describe the 2006 D Jefferson nickel is this: ordinary examples are generally not rare treasures, but exceptional mint state examples can be valuable to collectors. Current PCGS data confirms that high-grade examples exist, while the PCGS auction database documents a $4,230 record for a 2006 D MS example. That combination makes the coin worth checking, especially if you discover an unusually clean, sharply struck specimen. But don't make the mistake of looking only at the highest number. The most valuable lesson is understanding why the price is high. Is the coin professionally certified? What is the exact grade? How many examples are known at that level? How strong is the strike? Are the surfaces clean? Is the color and appearance attractive? Was the coin actually sold at auction, or is someone merely asking an unrealistic price online? These questions separate serious numismatic research from internet hype. If you have a 2006 Jefferson nickel, take your time before deciding what it is worth. Don't polish it, don't scratch it, and don't clean it with household chemicals. Preserve the original surface and examine it carefully. Compare it with reliable auction records and certification information rather than relying on a headline that says, "One nickel worth thousands." The difference between an ordinary coin and a valuable collectible can sometimes be extremely subtle. And remember one final point: condition changes everything. A worn 2006 nickel, an attractive uncirculated example, an MS66, an MS67, and an exceptionally rare top-grade specimen should not be treated as the same coin from a value perspective. The market rewards scarcity and quality, not simply age. That's why a modern coin from 2006 can sometimes be more interesting to collectors than a much older coin that is heavily worn. So if you find a 2006 Jefferson nickel in your collection, don't immediately throw it back into circulation. Look at the date. Look for the D. Examine both sides under good lighting. Check the surfaces and strike. Then ask the most important question: what grade might this particular coin realistically achieve? Because the real story isn't that every 2006 nickel is worth thousands of dollars. The real story is that a seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin can become surprisingly collectible when exceptional condition, certification, rarity at the highest grade levels, and strong auction demand come together. If you enjoyed this look at the 2006 Jefferson nickel, remember that every coin deserves its own examination. The year and mint mark may be the beginning of the story, but condition is what can change the ending. Keep checking your old coins, keep learning the grading system, and most importantly, verify actual sold prices before believing any extraordinary valuation. This video is for educational and numismatic research purposes. Coin values can change, and an individual coin's value depends on its actual condition, authenticity, certification, and current market demand. Next coin. Maybe you noticed the letter P on the coin and started wondering whether you had discovered a rare Philadelphia mint nickel. Maybe your coin looks unusually clean, bright, and sharp, and you want to know what it could be worth in today's 2026 coin market. Well, in this video, we're taking a detailed look at the 2007 P. Jefferson nickel, including its Monticello design, condition, mint state grades, auction history, and the factors that can turn an ordinary 5-cent coin into a much more interesting collectible. And there is one important thing to understand right from the beginning. Not every 2007 P nickel is rare, and not every beautiful-looking example is worth hundreds of dollars. The real story is much more interesting because every individual coin can have a different history, different preservation, and different market value. The 2007 P. Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is identified by the P mint mark on the coin. It belongs to the modern Jefferson nickel series and carries Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, while the reverse features Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia home. The design is part of the modern return to Monticello era. If you have one in your hand, you may initially see nothing unusual. It is a 5-cent coin, and millions of modern nickels exist. But collectors don't judge a coin simply by its face value. They look at the date, mint mark, condition, strike, surface quality, varieties, and certification. That's where the difference between an ordinary coin and a collectible example begins. Now let's talk about the word rare, because this is one of the most misunderstood words in online coin collecting. A 2007 P. Jefferson nickel should not be called rare simply because it has a P mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint produced large numbers of coins for circulation. Finding a 2007 P nickel is therefore not, by itself, evidence of rarity. But rarity can become much more important when we're talking about a particular grade. A coin might be common in circulated condition, but considerably scarcer in an extremely high mint state grade. That's why professional collectors often ask not only how many coins were made, but also how many survive in exceptional condition. This brings us to condition, and condition is one of the most important subjects in today's video. Imagine two 2007p nickels sitting next to each other. They have exactly the same date and mint mark. One has been carried in pockets, placed in cash registers, dropped into coin machines, and handled for years. Its surfaces contain marks and scratches, and the original luster has faded. The second coin was protected shortly after leaving the mint. It has brilliant surfaces, minimal contact marks, strong detail, and attractive eye appeal. These two coins may look similar to someone who isn't familiar with grading, but collectors can view them very differently. When you hear terms such as good, very fine, very fine, extremely fine about uncirculated, and mint state, these are descriptions of preservation. A circulated 2007p nickel can still be perfectly collectible, but it generally isn't the type of coin that creates a dramatic auction story. For a modern Jefferson nickel, the really interesting territory begins when we start examining coins that have little or no evidence of circulation. These are the coins that may receive grades such as MS60, MS63, MS65, MS66, or MS67 after professional examination. And here's an important warning. MS does not simply mean looks good. Mint state is a professional grading category for an uncirculated coin. The numerical grade matters. A coin graded MS63 and another graded MS67 are both mint state, but the difference in preservation can be substantial. Tiny contact marks, hairlines, surface disturbances, strike quality, and overall eye appeal can influence the final grade. That's why it is not accurate to look at a random internet photograph and announce that a coin is automatically MS67. Professional grading is much more demanding. So what does the 2026 market tell us about the 2007p Jefferson nickel? Current PCGS auction information lists 36 auction records for the 2007p MS Jefferson nickel and an auction record of $695. That is a real recorded auction result and demonstrates that an exceptional 2007p nickel can command a price dramatically higher than 5 cents. But this number needs to be understood correctly. It is an auction record, not a guaranteed value for every 2007p nickel. A normal circulated example should never be valued at $695 simply because a top example once sold for that amount. The condition and certification of the individual coin matter enormously. The current PCGS price information also shows why grade matters so much. For modern Jefferson nickels, the guide can show relatively modest values at lower mint state grades and considerably higher figures as coins reach exceptional grades. The market isn't saying that every 2007p nickel is expensive. Instead, it is showing that collectors can pay premiums for coins with outstanding preservation. This is one of the central principles of numismatics. Scarcity at a particular quality level can matter more than the age of the coin itself. Now let's examine the obverse. Start with Thomas Jefferson's portrait. Look carefully at the major design elements and then inspect the surrounding fields. Are there lots of contact marks? Are there scratches crossing the portrait? Does the coin have bright original-looking luster, or does it appear dull and heavily handled? Don't judge the coin under a single weak light source. Good lighting can reveal surface problems that aren't obvious at first glance. At the same time, don't mistake ordinary mint luster for proof that a coin is rare. A shiny modern nickel can still be worth only a small amount if it is common and uncertified. Next, examine the reverse and the Monticello building. Look at the architectural details and the overall sharpness of the strike. The steps and other details can be interesting to collectors, but don't focus on one feature while ignoring the rest of the coin. Professional grading considers the coin as a whole. A coin with strong detail but numerous contact marks may not receive the grade that its owner expects. Another coin with attractive surfaces and excellent overall preservation may perform much better in the market. This is also where the phrase, "every coin has a different story," becomes especially important. Imagine one 2007p nickel that spent years in circulation and another that remained inside a collection. The first coin has a history of constant handling. The second might have been protected almost immediately after minting. Even though they were produced in the same year and at the same mint, they no longer have the same collecting appeal. Then imagine a third example that survived in extraordinary condition and was professionally certified at a very high grade. That coin's story becomes even more unusual. Another interesting category to understand is the satin finish version. Certain 2007p Jefferson nickels were produced with a special satin finish rather than the standard circulation appearance. PCGS separately records 2007p satin finish examples and shows auction records for that category. The distinction is important because you should not mix a special finish coin with an ordinary business strike coin when researching prices. PCGS currently lists a $810 auction record for the 2007p satin finish Jefferson nickel category. That $810 figure is another excellent example of why online coin values can be confusing. Someone could see 2007p nickel sold for $810 and assume every 2007p nickel is worth hundreds of dollars. That would be incorrect. The auction record belongs to a specific category and a specific exceptional example. The ordinary coin in your pocket may have nothing close to that value. Always identify the exact coin before comparing prices. Date, mint mark, finish, grade, certification, and variety all need to match as closely as possible. So what should you do if you discover a 2007p Jefferson nickel that looks unusually good? First, do not clean it. Cleaning can leave scratches or alter the natural surface and can hurt collector appeal. Instead, keep the coin safely protected and examine it carefully. If you believe it is an exceptional uncirculated example, professional authentication and grading may be worth considering. A certified grade gives buyers and collectors a standardized assessment that is much more useful than simply saying a coin is excellent. And be careful with online asking prices. An asking price is not the same thing as a completed sale. Someone can list a modern nickel for $10,000, $50,000, or even more, but that does not prove anyone is willing to pay that amount. Serious valuation research focuses on actual completed sales and reliable auction records. That's why a documented auction record is much more meaningful than an unrealistic internet listing. Let's now break down the basic value picture. If your 2007p nickel is heavily circulated, it will generally have little premium. If it is in attractive uncirculated condition, it may be worth more depending on quality and demand. If it is professionally certified at a high mint state grade, the value can rise considerably. If it is an exceptional high-grade example or a recognized special finish or variety, the market can become much more interesting. And at the very top, a documented auction record can reach hundreds of dollars. But remember, the $695 PCGS auction record is not the normal value of a 2007p nickel. This is why the best way to describe the coin in a YouTube video is not, every 2007p nickel is worth $695. A more accurate statement is, a 2007p Jefferson nickel can be worth substantially more than face value in exceptional condition, and PCGS records an auction result of $695 for an MS example. That wording gives viewers useful information without creating false expectations. There is also a lesson here for anyone searching through old coin collections. Don't automatically throw modern coins aside just because they are not old. Modern coins can have collectible varieties, special finishes, unusual errors, and high-grade examples. At the same time, don't assume that a modern coin is valuable simply because somebody on social media claims it is. The best collectors learn to separate genuine rarity from hype. The 2007p Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of this principle. It isn't an ancient coin. It isn't automatically rare. It isn't a guaranteed fortune. But under the right circumstances, an exceptional specimen can become a valuable collectible. That is what makes coin collecting exciting. You don't always know the complete story of the coin sitting in front of you until you investigate it. And remember, the condition terms matter. If someone tells you that a coin is in good condition, that doesn't necessarily mean it is valuable. If someone says excellent condition, that is still not a professional grade. For serious valuation, the important question is whether the coin has been professionally graded and what exact numerical grade it received. MS60 is different from MS65. MS65 is different from MS67. At the highest levels, even a single grade point can have a major effect on market interest. So is your 2007 P. Jefferson nickel worth big money in 2026? The honest answer is possibly, but only if your particular coin has the characteristics collectors are paying for. The P mint mark alone isn't enough. The date alone isn't enough. A shiny appearance alone isn't enough. You need the complete picture: condition, strike, surfaces, finish, possible varieties, certification, and actual market evidence. And that's the biggest takeaway from today's video. Never judge every coin by the same value. Two coins with the same date can have completely different stories. One might be a normal 5-cent coin, another might be a beautiful mint state example. A third might be a rare high-grade or special finish piece that attracts serious collectors. The difference is not always obvious until you look closely. So if you have a 2007 P. Jefferson nickel, take another look. Check the date. Check the P mint mark. Examine both sides. Look carefully at the surfaces and strike. Don't clean the coin. Don't rely on an exaggerated asking price. And if your example appears truly exceptional, compare it with documented auction results and professional grading information. The world of Jefferson nickels proves that value isn't simply about age. Sometimes, the real value is found in condition, scarcity, quality, and collector demand. A coin that looks ordinary at first can become fascinating once you understand what you're actually looking at. Coin number 3. Today, we're taking a detailed look at the 2008 P. Jefferson nickel, including its Monticello reverse, scratches and condition, mint state grades, full steps examples, special satin finish coins, and the real auction market in 2026. There are some surprisingly high auction results connected with this date, but there is also an important warning. Not every 2008 P nickel is rare, and a scratch does not automatically make a coin valuable. The real story depends on exactly which coin you have and what condition it is in. The first thing to understand is the P mint mark. The P identifies Philadelphia as the mint where the coin was produced. That makes the 2008 P different from the 2008 D. Jefferson nickel struck in Denver. But the P mint mark by itself does not make the coin rare. Modern Jefferson nickels were produced in substantial quantities, so an ordinary 2008 P found in circulation is generally not a major rarity. The interesting part begins when we separate ordinary circulated examples from exceptionally preserved coins, special finishes, and coins that have characteristics collectors specifically seek. 2008 Jefferson nickel belongs to the return to Monticello design era. Thomas Jefferson appears on the obverse, while Monticello appears on the reverse. This period is especially interesting because the U.S. Mint produced both regular circulation strike nickels and special versions, including satin finish coins. That means you cannot simply search for 2008 P nickel value and assume every result applies to every coin. You have to identify the exact version first. A normal business strike 2008 P nickel and a 2008 P satin finish specimen belong to different collecting categories and can have dramatically different auction histories. Now let's talk about the issue you specifically noticed: scratches. If your 2008 P. Jefferson nickel has scratches, don't immediately assume those scratches are an error or a sign of rarity. Most scratches on circulated coins are simply damage or contact marks that happened after the coin left the mint. Coins rub against other coins, move through machines, sit in containers, and get handled by many people. Those marks are part of the coin's circulation history. In most situations, scratches actually make an ordinary coin less attractive to collectors rather than more valuable. However, there is an important difference between a scratch and a mint-made feature. A genuine mint error or variety is created during the manufacturing process and can sometimes attract collector interest. A random scratch that happened after the coin entered circulation is not the same thing. That's why careful examination is important. If you see an unusual line or mark, don't immediately call it an error. Ask whether it looks like damage, a die characteristic, or something that could have occurred during striking. Condition becomes even more important when we move into the mint state category. A coin graded MS60 or higher is considered uncirculated, but not every mint state coin has the same quality. An MS63, MS65, MS66, and MS67 can look dramatically different under magnification. Collectors pay attention to contact marks, luster, strike quality, surface preservation, and overall eye appeal. For a modern nickel, a coin with numerous scratches and heavy contact marks is unlikely to compete with a clean, sharply struck example at the highest grades. This is where the phrase, "every coin has a different story," really matters. Imagine two 2008 Jefferson nickels produced at the same mint during the same year. One enters circulation and spends years being handled. It develops scratches and contact marks. The second is protected soon after production and survives with brilliant surfaces and excellent detail. The two coins have the same date and mint mark, but their collecting stories are completely different. Then imagine a third coin that survives in exceptional condition and receives a very high professional grade. That coin could attract collectors who are trying to build the finest possible set. So what does the actual 2026 auction market tell us? According to PCGS's Jefferson Nickel auction database, the 2008 PMS Jefferson Nickel has 47 recorded auction lots and an auction record of $940. That is a significant result for a modern 5-cent coin, but it is extremely important to understand what this number means. It is an auction record for a specific certified example, not a guaranteed price for every 2008 nickel. A circulated coin with scratches should not be valued at $940 simply because a high-grade example once achieved that amount. There is an even more interesting part of the 2008 story, the satin finish version. PCGS lists the 2008 satin finish Jefferson nickel separately from the normal mint state issue. Its auction record is currently $2,995, which is substantially higher than the $940 record for the standard 2008 MS category. This is an excellent demonstration of why identifying the exact type of coin is so important. If someone sees a headline saying 2008 nickel sold for $2,995, that does not mean an ordinary 2008 nickel from pocket change is worth thousands of dollars. The record belongs to the special satin finish category and a particular high-quality example. And there is another useful data point for collectors. PCGS records a 2008 Jefferson nickel graded MS66 full steps that sold for $50 at a Great Collections auction in June 2012. The same PCGS record identifies a population of 110 at that grade and 4 examples graded higher at the time of that record. This shows why collectors need to distinguish between an auction record, an individual sale, and a current price guide. They are not all the same thing. The term full steps, often abbreviated FS, is another important phrase for Jefferson nickel collectors. It refers to the clarity and completeness of the steps on Monticello. A sharply struck coin with strong step definition can be more desirable than an otherwise similar coin with weak or interrupted steps. But once again, full steps doesn't automatically mean worth hundreds or thousands. The exact grade, certification, quality, and market demand still matter. A high-grade FS coin can be interesting, while a lower-grade coin with scratches may have much less market appeal. Let's look at the numbers from another angle. PCGS's population report updated in July 2026 lists certified 2008 examples in several grades. For the regular 2008 issue, the report shows examples across grades including MS61, MS63, MS64, MS65, MS66, and MS67, while the full steps category has its own population figures. Population reports can change as additional coins are submitted, so they should be treated as a snapshot rather than a permanent count. Still, they help demonstrate that the highest quality examples are a much smaller portion of the certified population than ordinary examples. Now let's return to your scratched 2008p nickel. If the coin has obvious scratches, don't polish it and don't try to remove the marks. Cleaning or polishing can create additional surface damage and may reduce the coin's collector appeal. Instead, preserve the coin as it is and examine it under good lighting. Look at the date, mint mark, portrait, fields, rim, and Monticello reverse. Ask yourself whether the marks look like ordinary circulation damage or whether something about the coin genuinely appears unusual. One mistake people make is assuming that a damaged coin must be rare because the damage looks strange. That's not how the market works. A coin can have a dramatic scratch and still be worth only face value or a small premium. Rarity comes from characteristics that collectors actually recognize as scarce or desirable. Damage usually doesn't create rarity. In fact, damage can reduce the value of an otherwise high-quality coin. Another mistake is assuming that excellent condition is a professional grade. It isn't. If you want a meaningful market comparison, you need to know the actual grade or at least understand the difference between circulated and uncirculated condition. Professional grading services use standardized numerical grades. When a coin is certified as MS66 or MS67, buyers have a more reliable way to compare it with other certified examples. That doesn't guarantee a particular sale price, but it provides a much stronger foundation for valuation. So what might a normal 2008p Jefferson nickel be worth in 2026? The answer depends heavily on its condition. A worn example with scratches generally isn't the type of coin that commands a major premium. An attractive uncirculated coin can be more interesting. A certified high-grade example may be worth considerably more. A special satin finish specimen can enter a different market entirely. And an exceptional coin that matches the characteristics collectors are seeking can potentially bring a much higher auction result. This is why you should never use a single headline number as the value of your coin. If you see 2008p nickel worth $940, remember that the figure refers to an auction record for a particular MS example. If you see 2008p nickel worth $2,995, remember that PCGS places that record in the separate satin finish category. These are real auction results, but they do not mean every 2008p nickel is a four-figure coin. The most important question is therefore not, is the 2008p Jefferson nickel valuable? The better question is, what exactly is my 2008p Jefferson nickel? Is it a normal circulation strike? Is it satin finish? Is it circulated or mint state? Does it have significant scratches? Does it have strong Monticello steps? Is it professionally certified? Are there recognized varieties or errors? And most importantly, are there comparable completed sales for a coin that actually matches yours? That's how serious numismatic research works. You identify the coin first and value it second. And this is why the 2008p Jefferson nickel is such an interesting modern coin. It doesn't need to be an ancient rarity to have a story. One example may be a normal 5-cent piece that has traveled through everyday commerce. Another may have been carefully preserved in a collection. Another may be a special satin finish specimen. Another may have exceptionally strong steps and a high mint state grade. Same year, same basic design, but completely different collecting stories. If you're checking your own coin right now, start with 5 simple observations. First, confirm 2008 on the obverse. Second, locate the P mint mark. Third, inspect the surfaces for scratches and contact marks. Fourth, examine the Monticello reverse and look at the quality of the strike and steps. Fifth, determine whether the coin appears circulated or genuinely uncirculated. Those observations can tell you whether further research is worthwhile. And if your coin looks unusually good, remember, don't clean it. Keep the original surfaces intact. A collector would rather see an original coin with natural surfaces than a coin that has been polished to make it look shiny. If you believe the coin may be an exceptional mint state specimen, professional evaluation can provide a much more reliable answer than guessing from online photographs. There is also a valuable lesson here for anyone building a coin collection. Don't focus only on the highest dollar amount you can find online. Focus on understanding why the coin reached that price. Was it a rare grade? Was it a special finish? Was it full steps? Was it professionally certified? Was the sale actually completed? The more questions you ask, the better your ability to separate genuine numismatic value from internet hype. The 2026 market provides a perfect example. A standard 2008 PMS Jefferson nickel has a documented PCGS auction record of $940, while the 2008 P satin finish category has reached $2,995. Meanwhile, a certified MS66 full steps example has a documented sale of $50. These numbers are not contradictory. They simply represent different coins, different categories, different grades, and different auction circumstances. So is your scratched 2008 P Jefferson nickel a rare coin worth big money? Probably not, simply because it has scratches or a P mint mark, but that doesn't mean you should ignore it. Check the coin carefully. If it is an ordinary circulated example, its value may be modest. If it is a high-quality uncirculated specimen, a full steps example, a special satin finish coin, or something with a legitimate mint-made variety, the story can be very different. And that's the real lesson of the 2008 P Jefferson nickel. Not every coin with the same date has the same value. Condition, finish, strike, preservation, certification, scarcity, and actual collector demand can completely change the outcome. A 5-cent coin may look ordinary in your hand, but the market doesn't value every 5-cent coin equally. Sometimes the difference between an ordinary example and a valuable collectible is hidden in the smallest details on the surface. So before you spend that 2008 P Jefferson nickel, take another look. Check the scratches, check the surfaces, check Monticello, check the steps, check the mint mark, and if the coin looks exceptionally well preserved, compare it with documented auction results rather than relying on an exaggerated online asking price. Coin number 4. Looking 5-cent coin could actually be worth much more than its face value. Maybe your coin has scratches, contact marks, or an unusual appearance. Maybe the Monticello building on the reverse looks sharply detailed, and you're wondering whether you have a rare Jefferson nickel. In today's video, we're taking a close look at the 2009 D Jefferson nickel, its condition, scratches, mint state grades, full steps, the Monticello design, and the documented numismatic market in 2026. And there's an important point to understand from the beginning. A 2009 D nickel is not automatically rare simply because it has a D mint mark. The real value depends on the exact coin, its preservation, its grade, its strike, and whether it belongs to a special category. The 2009 D Jefferson nickel was struck at the Denver Mint. PCGS records a mintage of 46.8 million pieces for the regular strike 2009 D issue. The coin contains the standard copper-nickel composition used for this series, has a plain edge, and weighs 5 grams. So despite all the excitement surrounding modern coin values online, the normal 2009 D Jefferson nickel is not a scarce coin simply because of its date or mint mark. The more interesting question is how difficult it is to find particular examples in exceptional condition. And this is where condition becomes the key word. If your 2009 D nickel has been circulating for years, you may see scratches, contact marks, dullness, and wear. Those characteristics generally reduce collector appeal rather than increase it. A scratch isn't automatically an error. Most scratches happened after the coin left the mint, when coins rubbed against one another or came into contact with other objects. So if you're looking at a scratched 2009 D nickel, don't immediately assume that the scratch makes the coin rare or valuable. There is an important difference between damage and a genuine mint-made characteristic. A post-mint scratch is damage. A genuine mint error or recognized variety is something created during the manufacturing process and documented by specialists. Those are completely different categories. This distinction matters because online videos sometimes show an unusual mark and immediately call it a rare error. A responsible collector should first determine what actually caused the mark before assigning any premium value to it. Now let's talk about the design. The obverse features Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse shows Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia home. The 2009 issue belongs to the return to Monticello era of the Jefferson nickel series. When examining your coin, Don't look only at the date and mint mark. Study the entire surface. Look around Jefferson's portrait, the open fields, the rim, lettering, and the reverse architectural details. A high-quality coin should be examined for both strike quality and surface preservation. This brings us to the difference between a coin that simply looks good and one that is genuinely mint state. Mint state coins are uncirculated examples graded on a numerical scale. An MS-60 is very different from an MS-65, and an MS-65 is very different from an MS-68. Tiny marks can make a major difference at the highest grades. That's particularly important for a modern nickel, because many examples can have contact marks even when they have never circulated. PCGS's own description of the 2009 Jefferson nickel is especially interesting here. For the related 2009 P issue, PCGS notes that the coin is common in circulated grades through about MS-64, becomes more difficult to find in MS-65 because of nicks and scratches, and is scarce in MS-66. That observation helps explain the broader challenge of collecting this date in very high grade. Surface preservation is critical. Now let's examine the 2009 D auction market. PCGS currently records an auction record of $130 for a regular strike 2009 D Jefferson nickel graded MS-68, sold on eBay on August 19, 2022. That is a real documented auction record, and it shows that an exceptional example can sell for considerably more than 5 cents. But it does not mean that every 2009 D nickel is worth $130. The record belongs to a specific certified high-grade coin. A scratched circulated nickel should not be valued using that record. The difference between an ordinary coin and a top-grade coin is the heart of today's story. Imagine two 2009 D nickels produced at the same Denver Mint. The first enters circulation and gets handled thousands of times. It develops scratches and contact marks. The second survives in extraordinary condition, perhaps protected in a mint set or carefully preserved by a collector. Years later, the two coins may have completely different market values, even though they began their lives at exactly the same mint. And there is another category that collectors should know about: full steps, often abbreviated FS. Full steps refers to the clarity and completeness of the steps on Monticello. A sharply struck Jefferson nickel with strong step detail can be more desirable to specialists than an otherwise similar example with weak or incomplete steps. PCGS separately catalogs the 2009 D5C full steps variety, showing that this is a meaningful distinction in the grading and collecting market. The current PCGS population report gives us another fascinating clue. For the regular 2009 D nickel, PCGS lists only 10 certified examples in its current population report, with examples recorded at MS-61, MS-64, MS-67, and other grades. The separate 2009 D full steps category has 324 certified examples, including examples reaching MS-67. Population reports change as coins are submitted, resubmitted, and updated, so these numbers should be treated as a current snapshot rather than a permanent census. Still, they demonstrate why the exact variety and grade matter so much. Now let's talk about scratches again, because this is probably one of the most important things to check on your coin. If your 2009 D nickel has multiple scratches across the open fields, that can be a major obstacle to receiving a high mint state grade. Collectors looking for premium quality coins want clean, attractive surfaces. A coin can have brilliant luster and strong details, but still lose considerable appeal because of visible contact marks. So don't polish or clean the coin in an attempt to make it look better. Cleaning can leave additional marks or change the original surface. The safest approach for a potentially collectible coin is to preserve it as you found it and examine it carefully under good lighting. If it appears unusually well preserved, professional grading can provide a much more reliable assessment than guessing from a photograph. Let's now look at another part of the 2009 story: satin finish. The US Mint produced special satin finish versions during this period, and PCGS catalogs the 2009 D satin finish Jefferson nickel separately from the regular circulation strike. The current PCGS auction price page shows a $129.50 auction record for the 2009 D satin finish category. That's another reminder that two coins carrying the same date and D mint mark can belong to different collecting categories. But once again, don't confuse an auction record with a guaranteed value. A $129.50 record for a particular satin finish example does not mean every 2009 D nickel is worth $129.50. The exact finish, certification, grade, and sale all matter. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make when researching modern coins. They find the highest number online and assume it applies to every example. The same principle applies to the phrase high valuable or worth thousands. A coin is not valuable because someone listed it online for a huge amount. A completed sale is much stronger evidence. That's why auction records and professional price guides are useful. Even then, prices can change according to grade, demand, auction venue, timing, and the exact appearance of the coin. So what is the realistic 2026 value story for the 2009 D Jefferson nickel? A normal circulated example with scratches is generally not the kind of coin that produces a spectacular auction result. A nice uncirculated example may have a modest premium. A professionally certified high-grade coin can be much more interesting. A full steps example may attract additional collector attention. A special satin finish specimen belongs to its own category. And an exceptional MS68 regular strike example has a documented $130 PCGS auction record. That may sound less dramatic than some internet headlines, but it actually makes the coin more interesting. The important discovery isn't that every 2009 D nickel is worth hundreds of dollars. The important discovery is that condition rarity can create a market premium even for a modern coin with millions of examples produced. And that is why every coin has a different story. One 2009 D nickel might have spent years in a cash register. Another could have been saved in a family collection. Another might have come from a mint set. Another could have developed scratches from storage. And another might have survived with extraordinary surfaces and strong Monticello steps. Same year, same mint, same basic design, completely different collecting story. When you're examining your own coin, start with the basics. Confirm the 2009 date. Locate the D mint mark. Check whether the coin appears circulated or uncirculated. Look carefully for scratches and contact marks. Examine the Monticello steps. Then ask whether the coin might belong to special finish or full steps category. These observations won't give you a guaranteed price, but they will tell you whether further research is worthwhile. If the coin is heavily scratched, don't assume that the scratches are valuable. Instead, ask whether they look like ordinary postmint damage. If there is something genuinely unusual, compare it with documented varieties or errors before making a claim. A strange-looking line is not automatically a rare mint error. Another important point is the difference between excellent condition and a professional grade. Excellent is a general description. MS is part of the standardized grading system used for uncirculated coins. If you're researching serious market value, an exact certified grade is much more useful. An MS64, MS65, MS66, MS67, or MS68 coin represents different levels of preservation and scarcity. The 2009 D issue shows just how dramatic that difference can become. PCGS's current records identify a regular strike MS68 auction record of $130, while its population report separately tracks the full steps examples. This is why a serious collector doesn't simply say, "I have a 2009 D nickel, so it's worth $130. Instead, the collector asks, what type is it, what grade could it realistically receive, and what comparable coins have actually sold? The 2026 market also reminds us that values can change. PCGS price guide information is updated over time, and its guides specifically apply to professionally graded coins. Market prices can rise or fall depending on collector interest and available examples, so any value stated in a video should be treated as a research point rather than a permanent guarantee. If you believe you've found an exceptional 2009D nickel, preserve it carefully rather than trying to improve its appearance. Don't scratch it, don't polish it, and don't use household cleaning products. Original surfaces are important to collectors. If the coin appears genuinely exceptional, professional evaluation can help establish whether it deserves a certified grade. So is the 2009D Jefferson nickel a rare coin in 2026? The answer is more complicated than a simple yes or no. The ordinary issue is not rare simply because it has a D mint mark, but high-grade examples can be considerably scarcer, and the PCGS auction record shows that an exceptional regular strike MS68 example reached $130. Full steps examples form another important collecting category, and the special satin finish version has its own market and auction history. If your coin has scratches, the scratches themselves probably don't make it valuable. In fact, they may reduce its grade and collector appeal, but don't throw the coin away without looking carefully. Check the date, mint mark, finish, strike, and overall condition. Sometimes the most interesting part of a coin isn't immediately visible. And that's the real lesson from this 2009D Jefferson nickel. Value is not determined by the 5-cent denomination. It is determined by the combination of condition, scarcity, variety, preservation, certification, and collector demand. A common circulated nickel can remain a 5-cent coin. A beautiful high-grade specimen can become a collectible. A special finish can create another collecting category. And a top-quality certified example can attract a documented premium in the auction market. So the next time you find a 2009D Jefferson nickel, don't look at it and simply say, it's only 5 cents. Look closer, examine the scratches, study the Monticello steps, check the surfaces, confirm the mint mark, and most importantly, remember that not every coin tells the same story. The real excitement of coin collecting comes from discovering what makes one example different from another. And if you enjoyed this 2026 Jefferson nickel value investigation, keep watching for more US nickel values, mint state discoveries, full steps examples, special finishes, varieties, and documented auction results. Because sometimes the smallest coins can teach us the biggest lessons about rarity, condition, and the numismatic market.